Hey, it's Jose here, and I just wanted to let you know that if you have a message to share, I want to tell you about Anchor. It is free and it is an easy way to create a podcast for you to share that message. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Everything you need to make a podcast in one place. There are certain creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. And most importantly, you can get your message out to the world and impact the lives that you were created to impact. Download Anchor right now. My name is Jose Vargas, and I am on a mission to help you create breakthroughs in your personal and professional life so that you can grow and lead your life with excellence. Welcome everyone to the Jose Vargas Show. This is your host, Jose Vargas. Thank you so much for listening. This is part 2 of Leaders Have to Connect. Make sure if you haven't already to go back to listen to last week's episode to listen to the first part of this series on leaders having to connect. I share personal stories in that last episode on how I have had to connect with people and how other people connected with me. I shared a story, a very personal story when I was in the 6th grade about Miss K. So make sure you go back, listen to that. Also, let me know what part of the world you're listening to from. I would love to hear from you. Send me an email at jose@reachinghighernow.com. jose@reachinghighernow.com. And let me know where you are listening to this episode from. What part of the world, what part of the country you're in. I would love to hear from you. Also, if you have any questions that you would love for me to answer on this show as it relates to life and leadership, please submit your questions there. Again, I would love to hear from you. You are the reason that I am doing this show. So I would love to get your feedback, your questions, your concerns on life and leadership. Ralph Waldo Emerson said this. He said, all great speakers were bad speakers first. I love that. That gives me hope. That gives you hope. Connecting with your team, with your coworkers, with your spouse, with your child, is something that literally anyone can learn how to do. But you must study communication to improve at it. And if you can't tell already or by now, I love communicating. I love talking to people. I love sharing ideas, and I love sharing empowering messages with an audience. I really do. I remember as a kid, I would sit down with my mom to watch the news, Univision. It was a Spanish channel. In New Jersey, it was Channel 41. I still remember it. And I would watch as the news anchor, how they would talk. I would often ask my mom questions, a lot of questions, of what they were saying because I couldn't understand, right, the news when I was that young. Now, that was my interest. I had an interest for a very long time on communication. So I'm always looking for ways to improve in this area of communication. I speak 2 languages, Spanish and English. I'm not saying I speak both of them very well, but I do speak 2 languages. And oftentimes it's very challenging to communicate because one, for if you're trying to say something in Spanish, it means something totally different in English, depending on what you're actually trying to say or what the message is that you're trying to get across. So I'm always looking for ways to improve in this area as it relates to communicating. More importantly, I believe that real communication takes place when there is a connection between the person communicating and the audience, whether that is an audience of 1 or 1,000, it really doesn't matter. I really do believe that there is a connection that has to take place. And so what I'm looking for is I'm looking for ways to improve that connectivity, right? I'm always looking for ways that I can improve as a leader in my communication style. So in this episode, I'm going to give you principle number 3. Again, go back to the last episode to listen to principle 1 and 2. And in this episode, I'm going to give you principle number 3. By the way, I have a free resource for you titled 10 Reasons That People Listen to You and Why They Don't. Okay? 10 reasons why people listen to you and why they don't, and why it is affecting your bottom line. So make sure that you download that. I'll put it in the links in the show description. So principle number 3, connecting is more a skill than a natural talent. So if you're taking notes, I want you to write that down. If not, I want you to just listen to this very carefully. Connecting is more a skill than a natural talent. And that's great news, like I said at the opening of this episode, because it means that if you're willing, if you are desiring, that means that you can learn, right? If you have a desire and if you have a will to learn, you're going to learn. It's great news. So that means that there's not a few people who are born with this ability to communicate. The fact is that everyone can learn how to communicate more effectively. And so to connect with other people, you must make the most of the skills and experiences that you have in life and leadership. And that's what I've been trying to do over the last few months with this podcast and this episode, this show, to really take the experiences that I've had in life and translate them into lessons and principles so that I can communicate with you effectively. And there are several factors that great connectors draw upon to cause people to listen to them. Okay, John C. Maxwell, leadership expert. If you haven't heard of him about now, make sure that you Google him. Look for his books. He has over 100 books, and so pick some of his work up. And one of the books that I want to point out that I'm actually taking the lessons and the points from that book into these episodes, and it's the book called "Everyone Communicates, Few Connect." Everyone communicates, few connect. And I'll put the book link in the show notes as well. If you're interested in purchasing that book, make sure you click on that link and it'll take you to where you need to get it. A few of these factors that John talks about in that book, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. The first one is a powerful one. The first one is relationships. Who you know. Who you know. A quick way to gain credibility with an individual, a group, or an audience is to borrow it from someone who has credibility with them. Who you know can literally open the door for you to connect with someone. Let me share a story with you. I have a friend who is a pastor, and at the time we were pastoring in the same city, people knew him, people trusted him because he went to this church. He was a part of this church, influential church in the community, and he spoke at the church, he served at the church, and one day he invited me in and allowed me to borrow his credibility so that I could speak to his people, to the church group. And I went in, I did a great job, I was well prepared, and I really went in with the heart of serving them and really pouring into them. People were really touched by the message that I shared, and soon after, they invited me back multiple times throughout the years. Without his help, without his approval, they invited me back. But the reason why is because I built credibility with that audience because my friend opened the door for me initially. He allowed me to borrow his credibility with his audience. And once he opened that door, I was prepared and I connected with his audience, with his people, and I was able to add so much value to that group of people that they now trusted me, liked me, and wanted to allow me to continue to add value to them throughout the years. So relationships are so important as it relates to connecting with people. The next one is insight. What you know. This is important because if you share an area of expertise generously with other people, you give people reasons to respect you and develop a sense of connection with you. Okay? So whatever area you're an expert in, and there is probably an area that you find a lot of things that are, that maybe you're interested in, and you're always attracted to it. You're always diving into it. You're the go-to person for this particular area. For example, for me is leadership development, growth. People ask me all the time, how do you publish a book, or how do you reach goals consistently? How do you grow? How do you develop as a leader? Now, people ask me these things and how to do these things because of my insight into these areas. And so the same way that I have some insight into certain areas, you also have insights into areas in your own life and in your own sphere of influence. The next area is success. What have you done? People want to be successful, okay? So they seek out others who have accomplished something to get their advice. If you are successful in anything you do, it doesn't mean that the world has to know everything you're doing, right? But if you're successful in that sphere, whether you're successful at being a school teacher or if you're successful being a law enforcement officer, whatever it is, whatever trade or field that you may be in, there will be people who want to listen to you and connect with you because of your success. Okay? So the third part is, what have you done? Answer that question. What have I done? And if you haven't really done much, then you need to get some successes under your belt. Begin to do things that bring you and others success. Begin to learn, begin to grow, begin to develop, begin to surround yourself with people who are successful, who are doing something. Again, success does not mean you're famous. Success does not mean you have 1 million followers on social media. Okay, those are superficial things of that some successful people have. But success really is, what have you done? Right? How have you overcame something and gotten to the other side of that? That is success. Okay, and so how can you translate that in a way that you can share that with others, and others will want to connect with you because of that success, because they're going to learn something from you based on that success. The next one is ability. What can you do? If you have a high level of ability in an area, other people will want to connect with you because of that ability. Excellent connects. Excellent is attractive. Okay, individuals who perform at a high level in their profession often have instant credibility with other people. This is why you see a lot of famous athletes on commercials and doing all these different things, because of their instant credibility with others. People admire them. They want to be like them, and they feel connected to them. And so when they speak, other people listen. Think about Michael Jordan. I don't know if you ever watched The Last Dance, but he's made more money from that from endorsements than he did ever playing basketball. Think about the commercials that he's in. Think about the ads that he is in. The sneaker brand that he started. Why? He endorses these products, and people listen to him because of what he's done, not because of his knowledge of the product that he endorses, but because of what he's done with the what? With the basketball, right? So people feel connected to him. He has instant credibility because they admire him, they want to be like him, and they feel connected to him. So this section is what you can do. What are your abilities? What are your abilities? You don't have to be a Michael Jordan, but what can you do? What can you do well? The next one is sacrifice. How have you lived? This is an important one. How have you lived? More than your talk, people are watching your walk. Okay? More than what you say, people are watching what you do. How do you live? If you've made sacrifices, or you suffered tragedy, or you overcame painful obstacles, many people will relate to you. And if you've been able to remain positive yet humble in the midst of life's difficulties, others will admire you and will want to connect with you because of how you have lived, of the sacrifices that you've been able to endure in life. So, how have you lived, or how are you living that will cause other people to want to listen to you? Therefore, you have an ability to connect with them. So these are 5 connecting factors, and they're just the beginning. You can probably think of other reasons why people connect with you as well. So whatever you have today at your disposal, I want you to begin to use it. So this is the application for you. Today, I want you to begin to use it to connect as a leader with your followers, with your team, with your coworkers, with the people that you have some level of influence with. Okay? So if you want to download the free resource that I said at the beginning, the 10 reasons why people listen to you and the reasons why they don't, make sure you hit the show notes of this episode. This is a shorter episode because I want you to really think about these principles. I gave you one principle with a few key points in the middle of all these. Next week, we're going to give you some more. So make sure you stay tuned to this series on how to connect and why leaders have to connect with the people that they are leading. Folks, it takes time and it takes work, as you can see, but together we can become a leader worth following. You don't have to remain stuck. You don't have to put up a front, but you can take actionable, practical steps to get breakthroughs and not just accept your life, but lead your life towards excellence and towards impact. Because isn't that what we want? We want to have impact in this world, and we want to impact the people in our lives. I want to thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to share this podcast on your social media. That's how we keep the message spreading, and I'll see you soon.